Video is being shown to you under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, education, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Smash that like button. Let's go.
What's up? What's up? What's up? It is your girl Survivor Speaks, and I'm back with the live stream. Hold on a minute. Can you guys hear me? All right. Okay. Yeah. You can hear me because I can hear myself. So, y'all, things are heating up. I think we're all drained from this Diddy trial. The trial is coming to an end. So today, they started closing arguments. We're going to go through it. We're going to get into it. Please, interact in the chat, and let me know how you feel that the government is doing with the closings, right? I watched up until a certain point. As you know, shout out to my mother today. It's her birthday. She turned 78 years old. And so, we had to go and, do that first. So I'm just glad that, she's still here at 78. So she was happy today. And so that's all that matters, right? That's all that counts. What's up, Allie? Allie, thank you so much for being here. So I read, the first part before they went to lunch of the closing arguments for the government. They have really simplified things for the jury as it relates to the closing arguments. And from what I was seeing, oh my goodness, they are cutting the government off at their knees, not the government, I'm sorry, the defense. So basically, they're anticipating what their closing is going to be. And I think they went by the cross-examination that the defense gave. Thank you so much, Allie. And I think that they kind of was debunking things that they are thinking that the defense is going to get on the stand and say. I think they did a wonderful job. There are a bunch of, Diddy robots, Diddy bots, whatever, that are in chat saying they didn't prove this, they didn't prove that, they didn't prove this, they didn't prove that. That's because they're not looking at the law, that they're not looking at how the law is applied. Everybody was under the wrong impressions that charges were dropped. We said that over here yesterday that they were not. They removed the attempt to kidnap and the attempt to traffic. But in the something with the well, anyway, they just removed those elements. The charge still stands. He's still being charged with a RICO, still being charged with all of that. So we said that yesterday. So all of the headlines where people were saying, their cases weekend, they didn't drop any charges. Sometimes you just have to. I'm the type of person, if I say something is incorrect, I'll just come and correct it. Nobody's perfect, especially we don't have law degrees. Some of us are just into true crime, and it doesn't hurt to learn. But you know what? It is sad that so many people are ignorant of the law. They don't know the law. This female, she commented on the post over there, and she said, so if me and my boyfriend we're together and I tell him no and he continues to go on anyway and take it, so I'm going to go and run and charge him for a grape? Well, baby girl, you can. See, it doesn't, the law is a sticky situation, and depending on who you're dealing with, if you're dealing with like a woman that's vindictive, and this is happening to her, and she finds out that, oh, that's considered grape, yeah, they'll do that. But a lot of people need to educate themselves as to the law because they don't know. And and this is why some people are so confused. And so they're not even, the government in their closing arguments, it is going to be what, when I start reading these closing arguments, you're going to be like, what? The government has made their closing arguments is just plain English, grammar school level, so that the jury can understand it. So at the end of the day, when deliberations start, the court of public opinion does not matter. It's what those 12 jurors in the room that are deliberating what they think. So they just need to make sure that the jury is following the judge's instructions, and that they are explaining to them what Diddy is charged with and how to apply it to the law. Now, I'm going to say this, what really, really, really bothered me. I think here we have Masters and Follow when they're talking about true crime cases. Yeah, we do. You know what really, really bothered me, though, seriously, was to see his daughters come to that courthouse today. Listen, he has enough people there to support him. His girls did not need to be there to hear this. This is disturbing at best. Now, I don't know if Diddy knew they were coming or he requested that they come. You know what they're talking about in this case. It's the same thing like opening statements. When they got up and left during opening statements, they're going to hear those same things. I think it's selfish. I think it's very, very selfish of Diddy to have those girls in that courtroom during these closing arguments. Now, deliberations, when they have a verdict, yes, have them come and support you then. But to have them young women sitting in court having to listen to all of this actual stuff, all of the DV stuff, they mentioned, that, he raped Cassie. So many things, like, it is really disturbing. Your girls just graduated from high school. They have their whole lives ahead of them. And Chance is either they're all the same age. Chance may just be a little older by months, I believe, or something like that. But my thing would have been to my children, I know y'all want to be here to support me, but let us just get through these closing arguments. And once they have a verdict, you guys can come and support me then. I don't even think that it's a good look to the jury that you have your children sitting there, because the jury, some of this evidence was hard for them to watch, especially the FO tapes. It was hard for them to watch that. I'm just saying, you're a family man, and you should care about your children. You have grown men that are there supporting you. The one guy has been there every day, and then I believe the artist Loon, I think it's Loon that's there. I forgot what song he sang. I saw him there today too. He was there yesterday. He's there today. His mother's there every day. She's there every day. I just think that they shouldn't hear everything that's going on. And another thing, the reason why, because you can't have all of these people corroborating a story and saying that everybody else is lying. But let me tell you what the freaking government is doing, y'all. The government is lining up in these closing statements. KK, I don't know where you at. D-Rock, I don't know where you at. Fahim, I don't know where you are. And Roger Bonds. So remember, they did not call Roger Bonds only because he is a felon. No, Roger Bonds, when I start reading, if you haven't started listening to the closing statements yet, Roger Bonds is going to be charged as well. He's going to be charged. Roger Bonds is the security when Diddy bust open Cassie's face. Roger Bonds is the one that held her and told her to stay put. And he is the one that took her to the hotel and they would not let her leave until she healed. Roger Bonds, you are going down. I said, damn. I saw his interview. Was I convinced? I wasn't convinced. Well, I was a little convinced. But, he was in the interview, he was telling us about Kim and how, they stepped in the middle, into the middle of things. Roger Bonds, I said, wait a minute, hold up. So Roger Bonds, they didn't have Roger Bonds down as part of the core team because the core team is definitely next. Christina Coram is definitely next. They have a name for her. They called Christina Coram in closing arguments Diddy's right brain. I said, KK, come on down, you're next. Because everybody is like, he doesn't have any coke. How is he the only No, they wanted to do this case first. That's the same thing in the Epstein case. With Epstein, they were charging, doing his case first, and then Ghislaine Maxwell, her trial was separate. But I can tell y'all, because we're gonna go right over there right now. Without further ado, I'm gonna bring this up over here. When I tell y'all that you can clearly see if you have critical thinking skills, you can clearly see that they already are lining. They are lining KK, Roger Bonds, Fahim, and D-Rock up. They're gonna be charged. Make no mistakes about that. Make no mistakes about that. They're going to be charged. I mean, there is nothing that we can do about that. But I'm telling you, they dropped a 118-page document last night. I'm not going through all that. I'm not. Because the closing argument started today. What's going on, Lynn Ali? Thank you so much for coming. Make sure you hit that like button if you're here, please, just in case you got to run. So Ali says, KK and D-Rock, you better stay wherever you at dodging the feds. I don't think they are dodging them. I don't think that the feds wanted them to testify. Because y'all next in line to get hit with the good old RICO. Let me tell you something. You better add to KK and D-Rock. You need to add Fahim, and you need to add Roger Bonds. I didn't know Roger Bonds. I thought Roger Bonds was just like, no, Roger Bonds, baby. That child, Roger Bonds. And then they started mentioning him more than once. Y'all gonna see what I'm saying? We're going to get right into these daggone closing arguments. And I can see why. Look at the sketch, y'all. Let me bring this over. This is crazy. This is crazy. And oh my God, this sketch artist is awesome. Y'all hear me? She's awesome. Cause let me show y'all. Let me bring it over here. Just not talk about it. Let me let me bring it over here so y'all can see. Hold on. Let me zoom out so we can. Oh wait, no. Maybe if I bring this up. Why is this screen like? I know why, y'all. Sorry. All right, there we go. But still, why? Okay. Can we do something with this? Let me see if I could. I don't know. I did something the other day. Let me bring this down here because I need y'all to see this. Why is this like this though? I don't. Oh, hold on, y'all. I got it. Here we go. All right. I think I can do this way. Now it's going to go back to the same. Why is this? Hold on, y'all. Let me just get this size right here. That's not what I'm looking for. I don't know why it's doing this. I didn't want to do that. Why is it this? Let me go back to this. I want y'all to just see this stuff. Well, I can try this. Let me see how. I don't like that. That's right in my base. All right, let me bring this. Oh, let me do it this way. I just want y'all to see this sketch real fast. Ciao. Diddy. It's bigger. Okay, that might be cool right there. Y'all see this? These are the twins right here because they have on black and white suits. This is Chance. That's Combs over here. You see Justin over here. Christian is right here. I'm not sure who this other little boy is. That may be his sister Keisha. I don't know who is sitting in the back with the hair, the thing on their hair. When I tell you the sketch artist is, the sketch artist be sketching. She be sketching. You can tell basically what is what. Oh, she got Christian good. Look at him. I mean Justin with the glasses on. That is funny. Child, that is funny. So it says, for those wondering, here's how Combs family looks in the courtroom. The art courtesy of Inner City Press from Elizabeth Williams. Yes, like, yeah, they looking like it has to be hard. Like, I think that he's very, very selfish to have them sitting there listening to all of that. And I don't think that it's going to feel well. I don't think that it's going to feel well when I don't think it's going to feel well when it comes to put me in a little circle. I don't think it's going to feel well for him. You know, I don't think it's going to feel well for him when it comes to, if he's convicted, because the jury can still say that he's not guilty. However, I believe if they do, that means that they used jury nullification, which is something that, but they have to tell why they would get to a not guilty verdict, right? They have to tell how they got there. So I'm not sure. I just don't think that it's smart that you have your children there. And I just think it's selfish. I understand you feel like you need support. I get it. That he feels like he needs support, but these kids' life is just starting. All right, let's get to the top and let's get into this. Hold on, y'all. Let's get to the top. Let's get right on into this. All right, I think are we? Shoot, this thing is like never ending, and they didn't even do all that. Oh, I forgot that the closing statements were. And Diddy's team is going tomorrow. So the government argued that it was gamemanship that they wanted to go tomorrow, and they were trying to get the judge not to approve that, but the judge approved it. But they still have the rebuttal case. They have the rebuttal case to do. I hate the way these tweets come out because it seems like I've been scrolling forever trying to get to the top. So they still have the rebuttal case at the rebuttal after the, but he didn't say how much time was allotted for that. I thought it was 4 hours for everything. I just know the government gets a last crack at the bite of the apple because they are okay. Here we go. I think Oh, wait a minute. No, we're not. All right. So yeah. Yeah, there it is. All right. So then here we are. We're going to start, right? So I know that the government gets the last bite of the apple. And so, when they're going to have a rebuttal case. But so let's get into these closing arguments, y'all. And you're going to be able to see exactly what I'm talking about. That KK, Roger Bonds, which I'm kind of like shocked because he got around here doing interviews like he all good. Roger Bonds, KK, Fahim, and D-Rock. Yes. And they don't mention him when they mention like the yesterday they were calling them the core team. Today they're calling them the inner circle. So, yeah, but they don't mention Roger Bonds when they say the inner circle, but then they mention him separately. But for the crime that he committed is kidnapping. It is because he took Cassie after Diddy whooped on her, bust the face up, brought her to the hotel. I think it was a London hotel, and he held her there. And Kate was coming and checking back in and out on her. They made her stay there until she was healed. So that was Roger Bonds. I was like, oh, shoot. And so, while the people are just being pro Diddy, I guess, and not really looking at the facts, let's start. So the judge says, while we wait, Ms. Comey, do we have the laptop ready? So I'll defer to Ms. Garagos. So Ms. Garagos, we'll have it ready tomorrow. Defense still playing games. That's because just what she said, this is gamemanship. The reason why they wanted to start their their closing arguments tomorrow is because they're going to go through the states, the government's closing arguments and try to counter each and every one. But the bad thing for the defense also is you couldn't get not one single witness to come on the stand and defend him. That's not a good look. And so they did say when the defense said that they rested their case the other day, they said the jury was like, what? So they went from needing 4 weeks, they into 2 weeks. Then they went down that it was going to be about 2 days, and then their case in chief was 7 to 10 minutes. I thought it was 20. I was giving them the benefit of the doubt. No, it was 7 to 10 minutes. So that doesn't look good either to the jury. But anyway. So she said we'll have it tomorrow, and the judge said with only the admitted exhibits, I'll ask tomorrow. Let's get our jury all rise. Give your attention to the parties' closing arguments. Today will be shorter, the U.S. closings. Tomorrow, the defense, the rebuttal, my instructions, and begin deliberations. The jurors who will stay. So this is Slavic from the government is giving. What's up for always? Thank you so much for being here. I knew you was on the way. It was a last minute schedule, but I did get to post it and send it to y'all. At least I did that. So yeah. So for always, we just getting ready to start the closing arguments, but I was telling them how the government in their closing arguments is laying out how KK, Roger Bonds, I was shocked. Roger Bonds, Fahim, and D-Rock. Well, they mentioned KK, or they said that KK is Diddy's right brain. I said, oh wait, now y'all better. So KK, D-Rock, and Fahim, they mentioned them as the inner circle. Roger Bonds comes in a little later, but where he comes in at, child, that is the kidnapping. That was the kidnapping. So I guess they didn't think at the time, and the government already covered that, whether they knew it was a crime or not. It happened. And Roger Bonds was the one that when Puffy busts Cassie's face, took her to that hotel room and wouldn't let her leave. They didn't let her leave until her face was healed. Child. All right, let's get into it. Let's keep on going. It's crazy, but y'all going to pick it up just in a little minute. Y'all going to pick it up. Over the last few weeks, you've learned that Sean Combs is the leader of a criminal organization. He doesn't take no for an answer. He's into kidnapping, arson, forced labor, bribery of a security officer, and the brutal crimes of trafficking. You see there? I kept telling them, we was over here talking about it yesterday. They did not drop any charges. They dropped the predicate acts. They didn't need, because it was going to be confusing to the jury. We're not charging him with attempting. We're no longer going to use the charge attempting to, what was it? Actual battery. No, he did do it. He did do it. They don't need to have both. So they had two. Attempting, and they had the charge up. They just got rid of the attempting. No, they're saying that they proved he did it. And so everybody was, oh, they dropped the charge. They didn't drop nothing. Y'all see what y'all reading here? They gonna pull it all together. All those charges still stand. They just moved those predicate acts. That's it. And so, people are in responding to the feed like, they dropped those charges. How are they still talking about them? Because they didn't drop the charges. I don't know what else to tell you. I had to explain to this girl. Like, I was like, let me just tell her. I said, does that make sense to you? They removed the attempting charge. They didn't need those. Does that make sense to you? Okay. If not, they didn't drop no charges. Those were predicate acts. They didn't need them. So anyway, because the predicate acts of RICO, they don't need the attempting. They didn't need that. So they said that here. So in the brutal crimes of trafficking, consider two moments. March 2016 at the Intercontinental Hotel, the defendant got violent with Cassie. You saw what happened. He dragged her back to the freak off. 2024 at Jane's house. When they started talking about Jane, y'all know my skin started to crawl, because y'all know I'm conflicted and in confusion. But when they was putting a lot of emphasis on Jane, I was just like, oh. But they kind of threw in the therapist. She did a good job, and especially she got better after the lunch break. So let's go. So the defendant got violent with Cassie. You saw what happened. Okay, he dragged her back to the freak off. 2024 at Jane's house. The defendant choked and hit her. She ran and couldn't get away. These are chapters in the same book. The defendant counted on silence and shame. He thought that his fame and wealth and power put him above the law. Over the last 7 weeks, you've heard how he used his staff to promote his power. No one could stop him. We'll talk about RICO. They put RICO in all caps. Y'all better work it on out. Including trafficking and transportation for prostitution, which are also separately charged as standalone crimes. You may have heard of racketeers. When someone commits crime as part of a group, they are more dangerous. A group of people whose purpose was to serve and protect the defendant. It's his kingdom. Everyone was there to serve him, fulfilling all of his desires, including his actual desires. Now, his daughters are sitting right behind him. I'm so pissed off at pissed Diddy. Yeah, he like to pee on people too. And Cassie mouth and all that. And I gotta see if I read that earlier. They peed on James. Y'all. I said, wait a minute. But his daughters were sitting right behind him. I think that it's so selfish to have them sit there and have to listen to this crap. They're sitting right behind him. So, they are going to be playing those FO tapes And from what people were saying, that sometimes the headphones are so loud that they heard the 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 act, like they heard the sounds. They couldn't see because they turned off the monitors, but they heard the sounds. Why would you have it? Is selfish. Have them, if once they get a verdict, have them come to that. But why would you have your kids come and sit through this? Your girls are just graduating high school, just years they should be enjoying. Why would you? I don't know. Different strokes for different folks. Just because they grew up with money don't mean that money is going to make them be able to. I don't know. I just don't know. It just wouldn't be me. I wouldn't have my daughters there. I'm just saying. They didn't need the language attempted. Yes, because it was carried out. The language in law is very important. It needs to be clearly stated. Yeah. So they actually had two, like they had the attempting and then they had the actual crime. They didn't need the attempt. This is what he did. And they still saying they don't see it. Some people, it's not all, but just some people, and it's a lot of bots. You can tell that they're like, I don't know. But anyway, everyone was there to serve him, fulfilling all his desires and his actual desires. We need to show at least 2 racketeering crimes. Girl, that's easy in this case. But I digress. Let's continue. The defendant was the head of the Combs enterprise. There was an inner circle. Here we go, y'all. Listen, they telling you what the lineup is getting ready to be. Right here, right in the beginning. His chief of staff and his bodyguards. The names changed, but the roles remained the same. You've heard about KK, Combs, right brain. Child KK. Come here, KK. Talking about you innocent. Come here, KK. Christina Quorum, come to the front. Christina Quorum, come to the front. Don't try to flee the country because I'm sure they are watching you. Christina Quorum, come to the front. She lived in Two Star, which is one of Diddy's homes. Okay. She lived in Two Star. She communicated with the defendant's girlfriends. His security. Oh, so they do. So his security, you heard their names. D-Rock. Look at Bonds. Look at Roger. Look at Roger Bonds. So wait a minute. Maybe I was skimming through this so fast because I watched the first half. I didn't think they mentioned him this far up. Child. Roger Bonds, Rube, Uncle Paulie, and Fahim. They were armed and ready. Remember the incident at the diner with Suge Knight? David James told you Combs had pew pew. It's a 22. In the search, law enforcement found pew pew, including a so they used to go to hunting. Yeah, that one. I don't understand why we can't say this stuff. I want to have a meeting with me and Google need to talk about some stuff because we grown Google. With the serial number defaced in LA, 2 AR-15s with their serial numbers cut out. Now, I remember them only showing one during the trial. I was like, I did hear about the AR-15s, but I was like, maybe I missed it when they were, showing the weaponry. But not only did he have he had so he had 3 guns with the numbers. 2 of the numbers were cut out, and the other one, the number was defaced. Hell, that's a crime all in itself. But anyway, in the defendant's closet. Oh, Miss Hey Boo. Hey, what's up, girl? Thank you so much, and welcome to the Survivor Nation over here. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for all of your support and supporting the channel. Let me get her into the banner real quick. I gotta upload my other stuff because y'all know I used to be. I don't know. Y'all know I'll be all over the place. So yeah, let me get Missy Boo in the welcome. Thank you so much. I do appreciate you. Look at I want to look. And I had just had let me see. I think I got it without looking. Look. Because I'm like, wait, I don't want to. Yeah, I got it. So, welcome, love, and thank you. So, look, it says you also have the rotating cast of assistants paid by the defendant's business. Brendan Paul said he made $100K a year. KK made 6 times that. Wow. Because listen, so KK was making 6 times. So KK was making 600K. Okay, KK. Is it worth it? Let me work it. Because is it worth it? Yeah, I remember Roger Bond Shop. He did that interview on Vlad. He sounded so sincere, which is a bad idea because every time people go on Vlad, they always end up indicted. Listen, you said it. You said it for always, not me. Listen, the people don't want to listen. But not only that, I just was like, oh, wow. Like, he was a real stand-up, kind of dude. You remember he said that he left and he was just working with Ciroc. He separated because he really couldn't take the abuse. But them not knowing that the abuse that you stood around and watched, you now, Roger Bonds, you held Cassie. And they're going to say it like that. You held Cassie and then she was taken to a hotel where she was not allowed to leave, which is now it's kidnapping. And you checked in on her. I remember him telling this story, but in a different way. He tried to like minimize it. And you know what? And I do believe at the time that, he may not have been, but listen, I don't know what to tell him. I just know that they sure enough bring him up here. And that means that, yeah, you get ready to be on trial as well. And that's a kidnapping charge. So KK made 6 times that. So when your boss asks you to buy D-Rugs, you're committing a crime. Yes, when you kidnapped someone or locked his girlfriend in a hotel room after your boss stomped on his face, it's not supposed to be his face, on her face, it's a crime. AUSA Slavic, the law does not require us to know that they liked committing these crimes. You saw KK chiding the defendant to not be so reckless, but she got him cash, D-Rugs. She was a member of the enterprise. It impacted interstate commerce. Minimal is fine. You see how they lining KK up? I'm telling you, getting ready, they are lining them all up. They're getting ready to, and they go back to KK. I said, well, dang, KK. Yes, Missy Boo, do you hear me say thank you for joining the membership? Thank you so much. I put your name in here. Thank you so much for joining the chat. And we just got started, so you're good. So listen, they line KK up. They're lining listen, KK, don't try to leave the country. Don't try to flee the country, KK, because baby, KK. So yeah. So it says here that he was the boss. He was the through line, the racketeering acts, distribution of D-Rugs, kidnapping, arson, bribery. They don't tell y'all they ain't dropped no charges. Yes, I told y'all they ain't dropped no charges. These people, y'all just want to believe that they dropped. They didn't drop any charges. Rico, all this is Rico. Those were predicate acts that they didn't need to confuse the jury with. Okay, let's go. And I still can't believe that he got them girls sitting in that, listening to this mess, sitting right behind him. I can't believe that he did that to these girls. When they got out of it looks like they were forced, right? They normally have this look about them, like this straight look. They normally have that look anyway. But I don't know if when opening statements were going on and those girls left because it was hard for them to hear, They were holding back tears. You could see it on their faces. It was sad. It touched my heart because I'm like, you are some type of monster. You knew what type of evidence is coming out in this case. You know what you did. You know it. So why would you even have these girls come here? And, to even, why would you do that to them? And it was too much for them right in the beginning that they got up and left. But when I felt so bad for them because, you have the media outside. You have just people just standing outside because it's the Diddy trial. And they're screaming and yelling at these girls. And then you have the people that are going off on these girls because of what their father did. These young girls hadn't even graduated from high school yet. Your father's a piece of shit. What are you going to do? Like, I'm just like, oh my God. And they look like they were, I know as soon as those girls stepped in that sprint and the door closed, they bust out and started crying. Because you can see it on their faces when they left. So they left, but, everybody else stayed. They shouldn't have been in the first place. Like they shouldn't have been here today. They shouldn't have been here today. She can be missing all she want. She can be, but he did reach out to her. So so they found information on a phone that he didn't turn in. And the information on the phone, this is where they got some of those voice notes from. So the information on the phone was he was calling her to tell her, hey, I found a phone. They must have overlooked it. And I ain't erased nothing off the phone. I didn't erase nothing. But what I need from you, I need my attorney's number. You couldn't just go to Google. Maybe he was testing her to see if she was going to still be down for the cause. It's very selfish. I mean, at least for the verdict, they can be there. You're going to be found guilty or not guilty. One of the two, or it's going to be a hung jury, whatever. It's going to be one of the two. But they wouldn't have to listen to all of this stuff that that the government is about to say. You know it. And you had access to your attorneys. Who is this PR person? Because she needs to be fired. That she needs to be fired. She's the one that sets up all this stuff. I still don't even know how his PR person thought it was a good idea to pay people $20 an hour to wear these free Diddy t-shirts. Did she know how crazy it looked? Because everybody that had on them t-shirts was like homeless or something like that. And so one was nodding and leaning. It was just crazy. I said, and how we know it's true, they tried to recruit somebody to wear the shirt, and she went right over there and did an interview and was like, they was trying to get me to wear that shirt. I told $20 an hour. I told him no. She said the lady said she made $60 yesterday. I said, well, when they panned over there and everybody was, you could tell they was homeless or on drugs or something like that. I said, you know what? This is hilarious at this point. So Diddy kids was living the life with their dad. Shaking my head. I believe he raised around this as well. I don't think the girls he did. I don't think his girls. I really hope that he did, and I don't believe that he did around his girls. I don't think the boys. The boys I know for sure, because there's all type of footage that people are dropping them at parties and all this other kind of stuff. But the girls, I don't think that he did. I just don't. I don't think that he did. So, yeah, it's all it's so true for always. Yeah, it's all about the opposite for him. He's a very selfish, person, but he's a narcissist. And, a lot of times, you can't tell a narcissist anything because they're always right, or they're either right or they don't want to Yeah, normally they don't want to believe anything or hear anything or listen to anything. And so, like, when you try to reason with a narcissist, like, if their mind is made up, they don't want to hear anything. So yeah, I believe he kept the girls out of it. I believe he kept his girls out of it. He should have kept his girls away from this, because they're going to be putting pictures and stuff up on the screen. They're 18, but they're not small children, right? Cassie just didn't start running into stuff on her own. She didn't get busted faces and all that on her own. But what I didn't understand was, why didn't the government call the doctor that did the plastic surgeon that was fixing her face and stuff? Why didn't they do that? What's up, AOBD? Thank you so much for coming. So why didn't they do that? But let's go. So it says facilitating X trafficking of Cassie and Jane, forced labor, travel for commercial X cover-up. So you only need to find that someone would commit 2 acts in any of these categories. Listen, they only need to find 2 in any of those categories for him to be found guilty of a RICO. I just don't think the bots are listening to what this really is. Like, this is easy. Listen, out of his own mouth, from his own text messages, from his own emails. I'm gonna need 15 blue pills. Give Fahim 5,000. Let me find him. Hold on, y'all. This is Diddy.
I'm gonna need 15 blue pills. Give Fahim 5,000. And I'm almost out of extra guard, and I need about 15 more bottles of baby oil. Now, KK, anything else you can think of that I need, get it to me, or I'm gonna keep calling y'all. You know I need my supplies for the freak off. Don't be interrupting my freak off. Get my supplies here now.
Yeah, he said something to that. Yeah, he told I'm gonna keep calling you until you get me everything that I need. The fuck? What are we talking about? 2 acts, y'all. 2 acts. You only need 2 acts, right? Then they're gonna explain it because they want the jury to really understand. 2 acts in any of these categories. It could be 2 acts of drug distribution, 1 kidnapping, just 2. You have far more than 2. Let's start with drugs, an essential ingredient of the freak-offs. The most involved were, listen, I told y'all.
I'm sorry, I pressed the wrong button.
I told y'all. Here they go right here. This how you know. They already got on KK up there, so you already know. You co-conspirator number 2. I told y'all KK and Diddy is like this. He right here. He just a little higher than her, but we can't even separate it like that. No. He was making the whole, and then security is right under her. Here we go. Let's go. The most involved were D-Rock, KK, and Fahim. But others helped keep the D-Rug supply high. We are not talking about marijuana, but what, I know what it is, but we're going to call it marijuana. But what Brendan Paul called hard D-Rugs. There are stipulations of the D-Rugs found in the searches. Shnoshnane, we got Beth, Ox, we got some ketamines, dissociative D-Rugs. Now y'all heard Cassie said she needed this associative D-Rugs in order to perform these FOs. But you notice, I don't know if you noticed that the defense, their defense was they read in text messages, and in one of those text messages, Diddy asked Cassie, can you do a FO without the D-Rugs? And she said yes. It still doesn't that doesn't change the fact that what? But she had D-Rugs anyway, sir. She didn't do it without one. You just asked the question. Yeah, he makes me sick. So they had the GHB, mushrooms, and poly. The two, a combination dyed pink. So it's 1305 and 1306. The quantities are not relevant. Let me see if I think I got 1305 and 1306. Hold on a minute. Let me show y'all something real quick. It's just, but what is this? They go to Tootsie. Oh no, that ain't it. This is government today 10105. Okay, we ain't getting these numbers right. All right, so maybe they got, I don't know, but they go to Tootsie. They go to Tootsie. But this is what they found on him the day that they arrested him. This is what they found in the room the day that he was arrested. He had the room set up for a freak off. You can't make this up. You can't make it up. Can't make it up. So here we go. The quantities are not relevant. It's not an element of this crime. Distribution does not require a sale. You know the names of the drug dealers, D-Rug dealers by now. Guido, One Stop, Baby Girl. Jane told you that on 2 occasions she was told to bring D-Rugs when she flew to meet him. Listen, Jane may have been in Jane was a willing participant, gold digger. I'm not going to not say that. I am not going to not say that. She was old enough. She wasn't Cassie, was 19 years old. Lied to. Signed to him under false pretenses. And then he groomed her. But they also saying here that Jane was groomed. Child. This right here is important from Jane. If not for the other stuff, this right here is important from Jane. The testimony that's important from Jane. So they can believe some of the testimony and not believe the others. So just even if she did willingly sign up to be a LSW, I hope y'all all know what that is, little ex-worker. Even if she signed up to be an LSW, once you told her to or gave her D-Rugs to fly somewhere, that's a crime. So if they don't believe her for the other stuff, they can believe her for this because this is a crime. Without even any of the FO stuff. And you're talking about flying with it. I'm still trying to figure out how they got past because they wasn't using, he was flying them on Spirit. How did he, and JetBlue, and how did they get past well, I know when you're going out the country, they have the little dogs walking around the line. Child, that's interesting. But anyway, let's go. Jane coordinated with KK. It's corroborated by text messages. KK told Jane to swing by Mapleton to pick up the Guido package. We know Guido is one of the D-Rug dealers. All right, so he was called during hotel nights. So we know what the Guido package was. More ecstasy. The security team knew what it was. Guido texted Fahim, Puff has a $450 balance with me. Brendan Paul asked for $780 for personal Gucci items. We all know about the Gucci bag about now. The black Gucci bag held the cash and the D-Rugs. That is hard D-Rugs. D-Rugs were distributed. It doesn't matter, he wasn't buying kilos or selling them. Personal use is just a distraction. Cutting off the defense closing arguments right here. They did this throughout this whole closing. What the defense is going to have you to believe, personal use is just a distraction. This is where they started dismantling what the defense is going to say in advance. But we he got some pretty sharp attorneys over there. But they definitely took a gamble with not calling any witnesses to the stand, because I can guarantee you they're going to use it against him. So they bought and distributed to people around him. Cassie used drugs at every freak off supplied by the defendant. He introduced Jane to drugs, gave them to her at all but one hotel night. He gave drugs to Carrie Morgan and Bonna Bonalon. He made Brendan Paul try the Tootsie to see if it was good. D-Rock would text one stop, need to see someone for a bro. That is the defendant. Guido asked Fahim to cover the defendant's drug debt. You out here owing somebody $450 for drugs. Child, Diddy, I'm gonna need. Let me pull him up with his sassy hair. Just, Diddy. Now, Diddy, why you ain't pay these people? Pay the people, Diddy. All right. So Guido asked Fahim to cover the defendant's his debt. KK knew he was distributing drugs to the women for the Wild King nights. Y'all see, yesterday they tried to say during the session they had yesterday, oh, they didn't know. It don't make a difference. Ignorance of the law is not a defense. So let's stop right there, and let's not act like they didn't know, because they know. They got it on paper. They got voice notes. This is the dumbest group of criminals that I've ever seen in a long time. Ciao. So anyway, Jane told KK she was having a bad come down. Listen to this. KK gives pro tips how to deal with it. Ciao, KK. KK, it is KK, listen. And if Diddy walk KK, they're going to get you. They're going to still charge you. I guess they, listen. Child, plain and simple, this is a drug distribution. How about kidnappings? They committed them under both California and New York law. Consider Cassie. But here it is, y'all. Bonds made her stay put. The defendant called Cassie a smut. He stomped on her face. She was disfigured. Roger Bonds caught her and brought her back. So she left. Roger Bonds caught her and brought her back. Roger. The defendant made her go to the London hotel on Sunset, so no one saw her. She wanted to go home to her mom, but no. It's clear Cassie did not consent to staying in the London hotel. That is kidnapping. Listen, that's kidnapping. David James testified the defendant demanded to see his search history. So David James is the okay, so this is a different incident. So this is the different. I was thinking about the Intercontinental Hotel, because he did that there too, but this is something different. How did I miss this? Okay, so David James testified the defendant demanded to see his search history if he had posted that the defendant assaulted Cassie in the club. Then there's Capricorn Clark. I told y'all they didn't get rid of none of them charges. Child. They made her take a lie detector test for days in an empty office building in Manhattan. This was in 2004. She was holding expensive jewelry that went missing. Uncle Paulie took her to the future headquarters of Bad Boy. She was tested for 5 lies. It's supposed to be, I think it was 5 days. Inner city, what are you doing? That's the stage. The man administering the test told her if she failed, she'd end up in the East River. In Central Park, the defendant told her if anything happened, he'd have to unalive her. David James remembers this. He was tested too to get the rat out of the team. Oh, so David James was tested. Child. In December 2011, Rube helped the defendant kidnap Capricorn Clark. Told y'all those charges didn't go nowhere. These fools was under this post talking about, well, how can they be talking about the kidnapping from Capricorn Clark? And they dropped the kidnapping charge. No, fool. They dropped the attempt to kidnap charge. There's a difference. Y'all just on here, just not even just using y'all brain for nothing. Just one. Diddy gonna walk because they said they dropped the charges. Yeah. So he said the defendant banged on Capricorn's door with a pow. He was out for revenge. He barked an order at Capricorn. Get dressed. We are going to unalive Cuddy. They drove to Kid Cudi's house. The defendant had a pow in his lap. Coercion. You go take me to Kid Cudi's house. You see what I got on my lap. First of all, you knocked on her door with the pow in your hand. That child. Just so this was kidnapping. He moved her a substantial distance. The defendant said he wouldn't let her go until she brought him Cassie. He wouldn't let her go until she brought him Cassie, who he kicked with his ugly foot. I told y'all about that video where he said his right foot is his ugly foot. He loved to put his feet on people. He loved to put his paws, feet, head, everything on people. But that foot, child. The defendant said he wouldn't let her go until she brought Cassie, who he kicked when she arrived into the fetal position. Child. Cassie, who was with Kid Cudi that morning, testified with this, about this, with this. The officer who responded to the 911 call, said he saw a black Escalade and it was registered to Bad Boy. I told y'all about that yesterday. It was there twice. Then on January 12, 2012, the defendant had Kid Cudi's car set on fire. Arson. Someone cut a hole in the roof of Kid Cudi's car and dropped in a Molotov cocktail. We're not suggesting the defendant cut the hole. He didn't even buy his own soup. You heard the voice notes. He said he was going to blow up Kid Cudi's car. What are the odds? He says it and it happened. I want to tell you that Slavic clowns Diddy in this closing. I'm not going to, if y'all didn't hear about it yet, I'm not even going to tell y'all what else she did. But I was like, oh, she is, what? She's a savage. I said, whoa. And they said Diddy was just sitting pushed back from the table. They said he was sitting in a very awkward position, not like, how he usually sits. They said he was sitting back, looking crazy. Because the judge told them, do not interrupt this closing with any objections. That's what he said. Y'all get to say y'all piece tomorrow. So the defendant and Rube just happened to be there a few weeks before. Kid Cudi was driving the same Porsche the night of the trespass. So that was when they broke into his house and opened up all of his Christmas gifts. And Diddy was there that night. Captain Clark, Rube. So what are the odds? Kid Cudi had conflicts with no one except the defendant. Then D-Rock brought Kid Cudi to the defendant, who was looking like a Marvel super villain. Years later, the defendant apologizes to Kid Cudi, Then there's bribery, the 2016 video. They're just getting right to it. We just going from we just going from we going from charge to charge. So the defendant was having a freak off with Cassie and one of the male workers, Jules. Flores found the defendant sitting in a chair with what he called a devilish stare in the room. He saw another man. The defendant tried to hand Flores a stack of money. It was his first attempt at a bribe that day. As Cassie leaves, Combs starts damage control. The judge said, "We had a power issue. Is your mic working?" She said, "Hello?" Yes. He called Cassie over a dozen times. She's like, "Yeah, it's working. Let me get right back into this." Ruben's Uncle Paulie. Okay, thank you for telling me that. But I thought that they had. All right. Thank you for always. I thought Rube was okay. So Uncle Paulie. All right. Well, they need to stick to one name. Shoot. So he called Cassie over a dozen times. Call me. Cops are here. We know he was lying. He was just manipulating her, but the defendant knew he could be arrested. There was video of the assault. He went and banged on Cassie's door with a hammer. Y'all, I didn't know that he went and banged on her door with a hammer. I knew he went and banged on her door. I didn't know he had a hammer. What you was going to do with that? You was on demon time. So it would have been hammer time. What was you going to do? Try to unalive this girl? Like, I'm kind of confused why you went over there with a hammer. But anyway, neighbors were going to call the police. They did, in fact, go. The police did go there because Carrie Morgan, her friend, had called the LAPD. So KK suggests to say they had a fun, drunk night. KK. Child. She calls and reaches Eddie Garcia. Eddie says no. Then KK shows up in person. He won't show her the tape, but says off the record, it's bad. KK has the defendant call Eddie on his personal cell phone. Now, some dummy have put a post under this saying, "Oh, so let me get this straight. He wants to buy the tape. He wants to get the tape. And the supervisor, Eddie, first of all, Eddie Garcia was no supervisor. That's number one. You're wrong. Are y'all even listening to the case? Eddie Garcia was not a supervisor. He didn't have any access to that video. He could not let KK in there to see the video. He saw the video because he worked there, but he had no access. Only the director and assistant director had access to the video. And I want to say the assistant director didn't even have access to there's a separate room. I don't think he had access. The director had the access. So I said, what are y'all talking? Eddie's not a supervisor. Do you see that KK went there? She wanted to see the video. Oh, KK, you gangster girl. Go ahead. You right up in there with you and your boss. You the right brain, he said. He left. I don't know if that's this or not, but and I was just like, y'all don't listen. Eddie Garcia was a security guard. But let's go on. So once Eddie says his boss will do it for $50,000, the defendant calls him Eddie, my angel. That's how he saved in Diddy's cell phone. Eddie, my angel. Ciao. So Eddie goes to deliver the USB. D-Rock and KK are there. The defendant counted out dollar by dollar the bribe. Eddie told you the security guard told him he came up with the defendant. That was D-Rock. Eddie asked the defendant, what if Cassie calls the police? So the defendant knew. Eddie finds the ID of stand-in for Flores. So remember the cop that, well, he's a cop now, but he was the security guard. He was the assistant director at the time of this assault, and Diddy tried to bribe him on that day. He wouldn't take any money from Diddy. And so when Eddie Flores went to bring the drive to Diddy, with the incident on it, Diddy asked for 2 more IDs. So the director sent his ID. Flores, who was the assistant director, who Diddy tried to bribe prior to that, no, I'm not. He was not getting into that, so they got another security guard's ID as insurance, I guess. But even if he signed an NDA, once it is a crime, this isn't a crime in itself, but once it's in a court of law, the NDA is null and void. So anyway, Eddie finds the ID of a stand-in for Flores. The NDAs are signed. Don't speak to anyone. So this is just Inner City Press says, for those asking, during this closing, Sean Combs has his chair pushed way back from the defense table and is looking around. Oh my gosh. So paying for silence is influencing testimony. In their opening, the defense suggested it was just about bad publicity. Police involvement will hurt him. The two are connected. The next racketeering predicate is trafficking. Defendants' inner circle assisted whether they wanted to or not. Threats, drugs, lies, and illegal violence to make them have with male paid workers. This is not an attempt to criminalize dysfunctional relationships or personal sexual behavior. They did not want to have with strangers while the defendant pleasured himself. We got to change that word. Pleasured himself. They were covered in oil and they were sore over and over again. So we are not asking you to find that every hotel night or freak off was sex trafficking, or even the majority. You only need to find the elements were met one time. God, remind me to never get in trouble with the feds. God. So one freak off. That's it. He's guilty, but it was way more than once. Let's start with Jane. This is where I was like, y'all see my face. All right, let's start with Jane. Okay. Let's start with Jane. So turn off the public screens. Combs is still in the chair. So this is what Inner City. He's writing what he sees right now. Combs still in his chair, passed back from the defense table, at which Xavier Donaldson and Alexander Shapiro have their chins in their hands. So consider the sobriety party, at Jane's house. So let's start with the love bombing stage. Jane was head over heels. They traveled to the Caribbean. Dr. Hughes talked about this. She never met with any witnesses, but it was like she knew them. Love bombing is a tactic. He was grooming her. Jane. I was so mad because I'm telling y'all, I'm conflicted when it comes to Jane. All right, y'all. Okay, we're going to go ahead with Jane. All right. He gave Jane ecstasy. She fell to the ground convulsing. What they left out here is that KK is the one that put her in the shower. They left that out. KK is the one that when she was walking on the beach and she started convulsing and she fell out. KK is the one that put her in the shower. So the defendant liked baby oil and red lights. Then introduced in May 2021, she wanted to please her partner. She was high. The defendant had a freak off set up that very night. a paid worker came. Jane was excited by that first experience. She didn't realize she had opened Pandora's box. It became 90% of their relationship. For a while, she went along. Then she told him she wanted it to stop. There are texts about this. And he's saying they showed her with the screen off. So anyway, Jane wrote, I wanted to do things outside these rooms, to travel with you. The defendant ignored Jane's discomfort. Those hotel nights were not about what Jane wanted. They were about what the defendant wanted to see. He decided how long. Jane said if she was going to have sex with strange men, she should choose which ones. So the defendant made her ask them for a bucket naked photos. These were not for her. Chat. Do y'all see the shade? Do y'all see the shade? Do y'all see the shade that the government is putting down here? They're gonna do it again, but they're gonna do it again even worse. The photo, the bucket naked photos wasn't for Jane, they was for him. Hold on, let me bring the him up that they were for. They was for him. Let's continue. So when she asked to use condoms, the defendant was not happy. He was dismissive and condescending. She would try to have it go faster. He'd order her to slow down. It was about what he wanted. He dangled carrots. He gave her gifts and money. He lied to her repeatedly. She asked, when are we doing a getaway? He said they'd go on a yacht, but didn't. Here's what Jane wrote in the Notes app. I don't want to have you use me to fulfill your freaky, wild desires in hotel rooms. He used his payment of her rent as leverage. The carrot turned into a stick. She wrote, the threats and innuendos are non-stop. He paid for her veneers because he didn't like her teeth. Then said, look at the roof over your head and your pretty mouth and teeth. He wanted the all-star party. X with 3 men. She sent him a oh, Lord, I done died. Let me come back. Lord, I don't know. Lord, I'm on the live. She sent him a photo of her menstrual chat. We don't even want to look at our own. Well, no. I don't have that issue anymore. I just wanted to, say that was one of the best things that I got from having cancer. Took that on away. But listen, I ain't mad. I ain't mad at cancer for that one. But yeah, we don't even want to deal with that ourselves. You sent him a pic. Yo, listen. Puffy is weird. So he sent this voice note. Let me get Sean, because this is Sean talking. We got a voice for him. This is his voice note.
I'm about to really disappear on you. I don't have no time for this, baby girl. You got me on my job. You gotta get on your job.
The message couldn't be clearer. Not going to take no for an answer. The part that KK put Jane in the shower will be on the train. Yeah. We definitely, we don't want to look at our own. For those asking, AUSA Slavic is looking down and reading her clothing statement from a binder on the lectern. Inner City, I don't know why we need to know that, but thank you. Okay, so after reading Cassie's lawsuit, Jane writes to the defendant, I feel like I'm reading my own actual trauma. 2 of my birthdays, you forced me. Jane wrote, you gaslit me, It was actual exploitation you framed as love for your sick fetishes. Now I'm going to say right here the same thing what for always has been saying. You didn't start screaming this one until you read the lawsuit. I'm just conflicted with Jane. But I guess the stuff she said up top was before. Okay. But this is like right out of Cassie's lawsuit. Jane, you set yourself up, okay? You signed up for this. I want to be an LSW to the celebrities. Excuse me. So the defendant called her and tried to trick her into saying it was all consented to. Now, this is the problem. This is the problem, and this is why one of the reasons why he has the obstruction of justice charge. Listen, the defendant called Jane and tried to trick her into saying it was all consented to. So we do know that at some point she said no, but he called her to try to make her say all of the freak-offs were consensual. She wasn't going for it. And so this is why they didn't give him a bail. And it's not just her, it's other people. No, all right, Allie, we got you. I already told you you cool. We got you. You'll be so the defendant called her and tried to so he fed her a false narrative. Listen to this clip. He talked over her. We didn't hear the clip. He didn't write down the clip, what the clip was. But they played the clip of him calling her and saying that this was all consensual, and he was talking over her because she was saying otherwise. So, Dr. Hughes told you how a victim is trauma bonded to her abuser. So this is how they're spinning it for Jane. Jane often felt the defendant didn't listen to the truth. She said Sean would say just to move on. He told her to charge him, that lawyers would be involved to buy her silence. So she asked for $100,000 a year for her to move on. And that's probably what they used against her when she had to come, when she need to come speak to the feds. We heard him say, charge me. How much for my silence? How much for your silence? And we understand that you said that he can pay you $100,000 a year for her to move on. You do know that this is obstruction of justice, right? So you see why these people needed immunity deals? I just read this today and I was like, wait a minute, hold on. So even though he said, charge me, what do I have? Charge me for your silence? She wanted $100,000 a year to move on. Baby girl, you would be committing. That's obstruction of justice. He's already charged with it. You can be charged with it too. Because if he pays you $100,000 a year for your silence, that means that you wouldn't have been in on the stand. So y'all, so do y'all think that this makes sense is people are saying that Gina was paid off. All right, so she thought it was reasonable, far less than Cassie. Child Jane, the defendant went ballistic. She refused to adopt her false narrative. You can read the text messages. We can't. They are not on the screen. Inner City Press said we can't because they're not on the screen. So she's saying all she's worth is $100K. No, but she's saying a year. Now, I don't know how many years she said. She didn't say how many years she said. She said a year, $100K a year. But for all that you went through, yeah, that does mean just $100K, he a billionaire. So, yeah. So, let's go. Jane wrote that the defendant was going to show her X tapes to the father of her child. Then he reached out and told her to come see him in Miami. She makes it clear she doesn't want a hotel night. See, this is where he gets in trouble at. This is where he gets in trouble at. Not only you're going to fly her, but she also told you she does not want a hotel night, and you say, okay. But despite his promise, he called a male paid worker. Here are more threats about the rent. Jane writes, I hate worrying about the rent. This is in 2024. It all accumulated in June of 2024. He assaulted her and forced her to perform orally on an escort or a paid worker. This is ex trafficking. That's where he got in trouble at. So it was interstate, and the Astroglide. I think that Inner City. Y'all think this was a mistake? I think Inner City Press made a mistake here. Because he said, is he trolling us right here? He said it was interstate and the Astroglide crossed the state lines. They didn't say it in court. They ain't going to have me trying to go. Listen, I'm going to need to see the transcript. The Astroglide crossed the state lines. So the defendant knew or recklessly disregarded that force. Threats of force, coercion, or fraud were used. Listen, it's fraud. She told him she didn't want to have a hotel night. He said, okay. But when she got over there, y'all know what it was. Consenting once doesn't mean she consented every time. One time is enough. In 2023, he made Jane feel she'd have a proper New York City weekend, but invited male paid workers, plural. Jane sent him another message. It's dark and sleazy, in fear of losing my home. So in 2023, Cassie's lawsuit wasn't out. Let's look at this. Jane sent him another message. It's dark and sleazy, in fear of losing my home. Get a job, Jane. Downsize. That's not your boyfriend. So his response, girl, stop. Then he FaceTimed her and told her about stopping and dinner. He lied. Look, Inner City is hilarious. He said, public screen is still law for summary chart. Yeah, I'm wondering if he uses something to, to keep up with this, because he's normally right on. He's not too far behind the courts. So he is also texting Paul Arthur as Paul Arthur, the male paid worker. Look at these messages. He is setting up a hotel night. When she is in the air, he tells her he has a surprise for her. She did not want it. That before the plane even lands is a completed act of trafficking. He tricked her. Then under coercions, she calls Cabral to come to New York. In the next text, she says, in NYC, I knew you would pair me up with a random person. In the sobriety party without D-Rugs, she is so disgusted Remember, I was trying to figure out whether it was her or Cassie. I was like, wait, it wasn't her or Cassie. And this is when he left the message calling him his little crack pipe. All right, so in the sobriety party without D-Rug, she is so disgusted, she vomits. She writes, I'm not a corn star. I'm not an animal. I need a break. The defendant responds, let's spend the day. No strangers. She replies, you'll love bomb me. He switches from carrot to stick, the house. He texts, are you going to let me in our house? 8 times. Then he said he was sick and needed her. She went and had sex with 3 different men without D-Rugs. After vomiting, he said, get back out there. Finish strong, Jane. You know, he always talk about finish strong. Oh my God, this guy is sick. He's ridiculous. So in 2024 in Jane's house, 3 months after Homeland Security agents searched the defendant's homes, they used Jane's house. He came there. They were supposed to have a fun date night. They drank and argued. She pushed his head into the counter. He shouted at her. She told him to leave. She ran and closed doors. He kicked down 3 doors. You saw the doors. Here's one of them on the screen. And Inner City is saying the public screens are still off for no reason. So she ran without shoes. She hid. He was waiting. Jane hit the defendant. He punched her in the face. Here are the photos. The public screens are off. He dragged, I know why the public screens are off, because they can't, she's testifying under a pseudonym. So they don't want the public to see her, because we're going to know who she is. All right. If they, she wasn't testifying behind the screen. So anybody that was in the courtroom saw her. So that doesn't make sense. Like, yeah. So he dragged her by the hair back into the house. Jane took his phone and called the other woman. She shouted. The defendant called Jonathan Perez. He followed her into the shower and hit her, knocked her down. He called Anton, the paid male worker, and told her to have sex with him. She put on makeup to hide her injuries. She drove to pick up Anton at the gate. Then the defendant said, take this effing pill. His daughters are sitting behind him. We know his mother, she, allegedly she's, she used to have her own freak off. Allegedly. Just the girls, the children, the girls. That's my concern, are the girls. The boys, they got their own problems because they, they're their daddy's sons. And so, yeah. What do you mean maybe because the daughters are there? His daughter should not be there. I just think it's just selfish. So he was brazenly acknowledging he was breaking the very same. Oh, so he asked her. He put his face inches from her and asked, is this coercion? He was brazenly acknowledging he was breaking the very same law he violated before. Jane didn't want to have sex with the escort that night. She said no, but he wouldn't take no as an answer. Jane performed orally until Anton, he bust off. So the defendant told this security to bring cash to Anton. They didn't have it. The next day, he gave Jane the money to pay Anton, and she Ubered the bag of money over to him. This was coercion. I know Uber be dropping off money. Well, they do have where you can drop off a package to another person from somebody's house to another house. They do have that. So maybe that's what they used. So Miss Slavic, at the appropriate time, let's break for lunch. This will be a fine time. Okay, jurors, you may. So there's the break. We are right back at it in the afternoon. Here we go. Miss Slavic, are you ready? Just a flag for the court. We are going to need to change PowerPoints. Can we turn the public screens on? And he said, apparently not. All rise. Jurors enter. Miss Slavic, you may proceed. Let's go back. The 3 nights were part of a buildup from fraud. Okay, here go. Hold on, y'all. Let me get. I caught it. I saw it jump. About to just get me right on up out of here. Jeez, battery, that was quick. Batteries is. This is not even hot. I'm hoping that this battery charged because I don't know what's going on with these. I'm gonna have to see. I don't know if I have to see. I think I turned that thing off. Battery should not be going like that. All right. 100%. All right. Okay, here we go. All right, y'all. I would never trust Uber to deliver money. Sometimes they don't even tell you what sometimes that's what he's saying. So sometimes they don't when you get a deliver a package from Uber from like person to person, they don't tell you what's in the package a lot of the time. So the Uber driver probably didn't even know it was money in there. Yeah, they don't tell you. You just pick up a package and deliver it. So Miss Slavic. So she said, let's go back. The 3 nights were part of a buildup from fraud to coercion to finally force. She says, I apologize. And the judge says, do you need to change the batteries? God, I'm not the only one that need to change my battery. Miss Slavic, do you need batteries AA? Combs still is in the chair, pushed back. Now his legs is crossed and his hands crossed. Sitting there looking zesty. All right, so the house was just an example of defendants' financial coercion of Jane. Also, drugs. They came a necessary part of X. Jane told you about Miami in 2024. He gave her liquid Molly. They showed you video. They'll argue that she was super into it, but she was super, super high. His coercion included threats to release tapes of her having X in the hotel rooms. Combs threatened to send X tapes to Jane's child's father. This was to coerce her into more commercial X acts. The defense has suggested that Jane agreed to these hotel nights. Let's talk about what agreeing means. Theirs is an incomplete picture. I told y'all they get in front of what they think that the defense is going to say. I was saying maybe the public screen is off because his daughter's up. I don't think that's why. They don't care about them kids being in there. He should have told them to stay home. I think they turned them off because I know that Jane is she testified under a pseudonym, but I think they were showing something like really, really risque, but they never turned them back on. So let's turn to volume 2. We're going to talk about Cassie with several examples. You know from sitting through this trial that force was not limited to these days. Through the decade they were together, he forced her to have sex with escorts. Cassie was 19. He was in his late 30s. He signed her to a 10-record deal. He took her on a yacht and gave her ecstasy. They had X. They were in a relationship. She had just turned 21. The defendant was her boss who called all the shots. He molded her. He told Capricorn, let me show you, then ordered Cassie around. She did it. Walk and turn around. Total compliance. He didn't take no for an answer. He was abusive physically, emotionally, psychologically, actual. I love the way she just got right to the point. This is what it is. Right here. Right here. That's straight and just right to the point. So they want you to call this DV, but he was forcing her to have freak-offs. He controlled everything. He demanded that her nails be done a certain way on red carpets. The Vanity Fair party in 2014, Deontay Nash told you. He shouted. Combs shouted, I thought I told y'all she had to have her hair up. He wouldn't let her make money from her music. She was offered the chance to do a Common video. Puff said no. He paid for her car, clothing, phones, and vacation. He made her dependent. He did it to her family too. After he found out she was with Kid Cudi, he demanded $20,000 from her parents to pay him back, or he'd release X tapes. That month, in just this account, he had 3.2 million coming in and out. This was about control. So he asked for the 20,000. I thought 50 said he had a tape. Oh yeah, 50. 50 said he had a tape of Cassie. But 50 said out of respect, he called Diddy to tell him, hey, it's a tape floating out here about, your girl. And he said Diddy bust out and started laughing. And he's like, what's funny? This is your girl, getting in it with another guy. And Diddy said something like, maybe he sent it. Maybe I'm the one that leaked it or something like that. 50 was bothered. So, remember what Dr. Hughes said, when a victim is on unsure footing, the abuser has control. He punched her, kicked her, dragged her. When it was bad, he hid her in hotels to heal and not be seen. See, look right here. Look for always. Look. You saw photos and video. D-Rock, Rube, Paulie. They knew. Rube isn't somebody else. D-Rock, Rube, Paulie. They knew. So he unless they wrong. So he attached her for attending a Prince. He attacked her for attending a Prince party until Prince's security intervened. Got to be more careful. Y'all security won't intervene, but Prince security said, "Hell to the no, no, to the no, 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 hell to the no." Now, I don't think Prince was abusive, but I will say that, we were having, every year we used to have this, it was for my best friend has a boutique, and every year we would have a party on the anniversary, modeling. He would do a whole line, whatever. And Prince's band came to the party this year. Child, they was there about 15 minutes, and Prince called and was like, y'all need to get back. They were in New York at the time. Y'all need to get back to New York now. I feel like rehearsing. And I was like, well, damn, y'all came. We took some pictures. We was, they were nice. And they was just like, shaking their head, we gotta go. Now, yeah, I thought that they listed them differently. So yeah, Prince was very controlling. He wanted my best friend to be his designer, but he told my best friend that he could not design for anyone else. So he was like, oh yeah, you're Prince, but no. Like, I'm a well-established designer. I'm a creative. And I like to I would love to design some clothes for you, but not exclusively. And so Prince was just like, well, he didn't want to work with him if he didn't work with him exclusively, which is crazy. It's crazy. So, all right. So then Mia and Myra Morales described abuse to you. Cassie told you when she got to the house, he threatened to release the X tapes. He assaulted her in Jamaica. He beat her up in Las Vegas while she was curled up under the toilet. She said D-Rock cried Unfortunately, D-Rock, those tears are not going to help your situation. There was his assault at the Intercontinental Hotel, caught on tape. For Cassie, it was her normal. She was there when he attacked Mia. I don't know why his attack keeps coming out as attached. Mia, Devontae Nash, and Bonner. Bonner may have gotten the date wrong. I'm so glad they got in front of this. I'm so glad they did. Because come on now. If Diddy didn't do what he said he did to her, why were you offering this girl $1 million? They wouldn't let them bring that evidence into they won't let them bring that evidence out in court. But the evidence should have been brought out through the guy that was the middleman. Cassie should get her justice, but this Jane character, Sister Gal, was looking for a payday. Well, you know what? She was, and that's what I'm saying. Like, she signed up. She signed up for this. And, you know, even though at some point she is a victim according to the law, right? But you shouldn't have been so desperate. And then you were still in there just punching the wind, fighting for your life to prove your love. Because you wanted that public affection, that public, oh, I'm dating Diddy. And then, so she really, really lost it when she saw him publicly out with Young Miami. But he was never going to treat her as a girlfriend, flaunt her out in public because of who her child's father is. Her child's father and him, they don't get along. Due to the fact that Jane has testified under a pseudonym, I'm not going to say a lot of us know who Jane is. A lot of us know who her child's father is, but I'm not going to say it because, yeah, they were contacting people to take down channels. But you know what? I saw so there was a lot. They would have to be doing a lot to take that down because there's a lot of people talking about it, and some of the things that are out here are AI. So it's like a faceless channel. But of course, like if it's YouTube, they can find out who you are, even if you have a faceless channel. If your faceless channel is monetized, then they're not going to pay your faceless channel. They have to be able to send you the money. So I'm just saying she signed up. She was a willing participant until she wasn't. And then the first time that he put his hands on her, she hit him first. And that was after she read Cassie's lawsuit. She put her hands on him. So anyway, Bonner may have gotten the date wrong, but she had injuries. One time he had Cassie hold pow for him. The diner and Suge Knight incident, Cassie was in the house. She saw. Why didn't she leave? Miss Hughes explained that hitting leads to fear. So even when Cassie was in South Africa, she could not get away. KK kept calling. God damn it, KK. Allie, I see you back in the house. What's going on? So KK kept calling. D-Rock was loyal only to the defendant. He played both sides. He talked to Cassie, then reported it back to the defendant. She about to ice up. I told her to chill out. They in Malibu, then he raped her on the living room floor. She said no. She cried, but he didn't take no for an answer. He raped her. He wrote, I could tell I didn't turn you on yesterday. So this was the day after. She said they were supposed to meet because they were no longer together and just kind of get some type of closure. But instead, that's what she got. He wrote, I could tell I didn't turn you on yesterday. That is because he raped her. Because of the trauma bond, after the rape, she met him at a friend's party, then had consensual X. This was a trauma bond. He had an MO, an hours long performance. He pleasured himself and sometimes filmed, just like with Jane. Sometimes the defendant told male paid workers to urinate on her. Sometimes he urinated himself. Why? To turn himself on. She began drug addicted. Here she wrote, I love our FOs when we both want it. Jurors, this is not an all or nothing situation. There were times he knew she didn't want to do it. That is ex trafficking. She obviously didn't want to have an escort urinate in her mouth while she lay on the floor. Let's talk about the videos. You've seen clips. You don't see weapons. D-Rock should be slapped doing interviews, but never put pause on this weak man. I think so. I never saw, did D-Rock do an interview? I know Roger Bonds did. So if he did, let me know where it's at, because I'm going to need to go watch that. I blame everyone around him that never stepped into, you are 100% Mizzy Boo. Somebody should have, but they was all enjoying that life. And most of the time they didn't even stop him. Sometimes they tried. And a lot of times it wasn't even the security that stopped him. So it was other people that were working for him. So I blame everyone around him that never stepped in to put him in his place. So weak of them. It is very weak of them. So let's talk about the videos. You seen clips, you don't see weapons. You see her having ex pleasuring herself. The defendant is moving the camera around. At times, y'all, this is where she just, I'm gonna put this picture up because this right here, child, I said no, she didn't say nothing about Zesty. Girl, she said the defendant is moving the camera around. At times, focuses on the escort, not Cassie at all. It's clear this was about his fantasy, not Cassie's. Well, go on ahead and out him, why don't you? We already knew. She said he did not have the camera on Cassie. He was focusing on the male paid worker. Well, come on now, Diddy. Come on now, Diddy. We need you back in this wig. Come on now. The AI did you good. Your eye a little crooked. But all right. So March 5th, 2016 in the Intercontinental Hotel, the video. Before the Intercontinental Hotel, Cassie had a premiere. It was a big night for her. She agreed to a freak off as damage control. Look at this. She says, I don't. They didn't want him to fire him. This is pathetic. Girl, listen. She says, I don't want you thinking I don't want to. She knows the defendant won't take no for an answer. The defendant gets Jules to come. You know what happens? An argument, the defendant hits Cassie in the face. All she can think about is her premiere. She takes off without her shoes. This was the incident in the hotel. So the male paid worker there was named Jules. He was there. Did he stop? Tell your team to stop. He throws her to the ground. He kicks her, then drags her back to the room where Jules is waiting. He didn't necessarily, he didn't get her back to the room. He was trying to drag her in that direction. I think they should have put in the direction of the room, but he didn't get her back to the room. So I do think that the defense is going to jump on that. So why is the dragging relevant? Because Jules is there. Freak-offs have multiple sessions. They were between sessions. He leaves her, but he takes her bags, but she doesn't follow him. Instead, Cassie is using the phone in the elevator lobby. The defendant is making another conscious decision to take the bags into the room, then come back for Cassie with his hands free. He grabs her phone, then makes the decision to stay. Listen, he grabs her phone and makes the decision to stay. The same person that's under this comment asking dumb questions was like, y'all see, after he got his phone from her, she took his phone. After he got his phone from her, he went and sat down. Boy, that was her phone. That's been established through testimony already. Ooh, what did I press the wrong button? I'm just like, where do they get these people from? Child. So he stays even though he is in a towel and looks ridiculous. Now, she had to say he looked ridiculous in the towel, even though he did and did. Okay, so after Flores arrives, he stalls in the hall. He knows Jules is still in the room, possibly with no clothes on. So the defense claims he took back D. Ruggs that day, but you can see he is in control. Cassie just wanted to get her bag and phone and leave. The defendant offered Flores money. This is a photo of Jane in the car back to her house with sunglasses and her black eye. Let's take a look at it. Why don't we? That is the picture of her the day in the Intercontinental. Yeah. All right. He was using force to get Cassie to continue with the freak off. The defense may tell you the violence was not connected to the acts, but it was an attempt to get Cassie to continue with the freak off. Later, she wrote to him, "I'm not a rag doll. I'm someone's child." There were freak offs in New York with Daniel Phillip. Daniel Phillip was not paid for his time. This is a ridiculous argument. In one freak off between session, the defendant told Cassie to come in the bedroom. She kept using the computer. Y'all should have said exactly what she said here because it needed to be said. What she said to him was, "I have all of my information up on the screen. There was a male paid worker there." And that's all she got out, and a bottle came flying past her head. Yes, Roger Bonds, of course, exactly. But he downplayed his role. Roger's going to be charged. Roger's going to be charged because from this closing statement, he's a part of the kidnapping. And Cassie got away, and Roger Bonds brought her back. Then Roger brought her to the. Now he did tell this story, but he said that he, was trying to protect Cassie. He put her in a London hotel. No, that was by Diddy's instructions. Y'all took her there again. You took her there against her will, and held her there until she healed. So the defendant threw a bottle, dragged her, then slapped her. Daniel Phillip heard Combs yell, "Biatch, when I tell you to come here, you come here." After that, Daniel Phillip could not perform. But a completed act is not required for X trafficking. This is X trafficking. Candace, they were at the film festival. The defendant accused Cassie of stealing his D. Ruggs. Lord, not Cassie stole his D. Ruggs. Not the child. He threw her off the boat that they were staying on. Mia heard an audio of this, recognized the voices. They flew back to New York. She traded seats to get away, but he followed and showed her freak off videos. He then threatened to release the X tapes. So when they got to New York, they had a freak off. Ciao. This dude is gone. Gone. This is another example of clear-cut coercion. He threw her off a boat without her passport. He wanted Cassie to be afraid to say no to him. Cassie said, "I didn't know what no would mean, what no would turn into." He could be violent. The defense said Cassie made a choice every day to stay with him. Step back. Imagine yourself as Cassie. This was the force. This was the leverage. There were drugs, dissociative and numbing. She needed that buffer. Yes, some of the messages are explicit. That doesn't mean she wanted to have X with escorts at freak-offs. In 2009, he wrote, "You're supposed to be seducing me all day. I can't stand." Cassie told the defendant she didn't want to do freak-offs. Take her birthday party. Deontay told you about. He demanded she freak off, and she did. What choice did Cassie have in the end? She did not have the freedom to make voluntary adult choices. Let's go back to count one for a minute. While it was the defendant in the freak-offs, but he had help from KK, D-Rock, and Fahim. They knew it was wrong. How did they facilitate? KK got strange men access to rooms the defendant and Cassie shared. KK got Clayton Howard, Dave, access to the room. Jonathan Perez found the video of Cassie having X with a paid worker, and he showed it to KK. She knew. Fahim saw it too. Fahim got D-Rugs to the defendant even during the FOs between sessions. Ciao. I don't know what the defense is going to do, but we'll see tomorrow. So on February 18th of 2024, after Jane told KK still sent stuff for Wild King Night. So on February 18, 2024, after Jane told KK what? I guess she didn't want to be in the FO. She didn't want to do the hotel nights. KK still sent stuff for Wild King Nights. KK. That's why she was faking that she wanted to do a FO. I'm glad they said it. Yeah. D-Rock iced Cassie's black eyes. It would be absurd to think D-Rock didn't know what they were doing. Of course he knew. I expect the defense will say they didn't know. David James saw a stranger. Deontay Nash saw one. Jonathan Perez saw a video of Jane having X with another man while the defendant watched. Interstate travel for prostitution. The defendant paid male workers. He cost the travel. He sometimes booked it. The transportation counts do not require force, fraud, or coercion. Even if all consented, we know that that's not true. It's still a crime. It's just knowing transportation with the intent the individual engages in prostitution. For count 3, freak-offs involving Cassie, the paid workers' travel was often booked by travel agents. She remembered Dave, Clayton Howard. He would travel from New York to Miami or LA. Another paid worker traveled to Ibiza. That ain't in the United States. This was Jules Theodore at the London Hotel in NYC. The defendant asked for Jules' name for the ticket. The defendant's Amex showed he paid for a car. There's the $2,000 bill from the London Hotel. The defendant texts, "I will tip you." And he said, "For what?" He said, "X." Ciao. Diddy had to be dropped on his head when he was born. So for this incident alone, the defendant is guilty under count 3. But there's more Jews at the London Hotel, starting at 7 a.m. Consider this, Paul going to Turks. The defendant says, "How should I pay?" He paid for Paul's travel to Turks for X. God damn it. Child. It don't make a difference how much the defense say that this was consensual. It is prostitution, X trafficking. So here Reggie flew from Las Vegas to LA for X. He is never tired. Jane sent $1,100 via Cash App. Here is the hotel folio. $4,000 of damage. The hotel staff found bodily fluids on the floor. It couldn't be clearer. Child. Ugh, every time they say that. Bleh. Ugh. Every time KK helped arrange travel for the Wild King nights, she was part of the crime. She may not have liked it, but she did it. KK sent up travel for a Wild King night in Vegas. Combs' voice. I gotta find. Here you go.
The Wallace Wild King Night in Vegas.
KK knows. KK helped Cabral book his travel. Combs asked her for cash. She knows exactly what is going on. She facilitated travel for the paid workers. Each is a racketeering act. You only need to find 2 acts. Just here, there are dozens. Afternoon break. Okay. Ciao. I can't. All right, they back. So when Judge Subramanian asked AUSA Slavic how much more time she has, she said 1 hour. Well, dang. Get on into it. The jury is entering. All right. So I expect the judge will instruct you on forced labor. Shows them a chart. You heard of forced labor of 4 women, Cassie and Jane, and Mia and Capricorn. Cassie and Jane, it was grueling. Actual services. Ooh, the defense is mad that she was able to say that. Remember yesterday? They were mad. But listen, that's the R. Kelly case. That is from the R. Kelly case, they said. Ciao. So, Cassie called them grueling, up to 4 days, maybe even more. Jane said the same thing. Imagine, Lord, every time I read that, I'm like, oh my goodness, 4 days in a row. Child. To the point where they needed IVs. Child. Who was the nurse that was providing them with these IVs? Trigger warning in the chat. Thank you so much for all this. Who was the nurse that was supplying these IVs? Doctor, nurse, who? Cassie and Jane were on call to perform freak offs for the defendant whenever he wanted, wherever he wanted. He used force or threats of force. He would say, let's finish on a high note. I thought he said, let's finish strong. That ain't funny, but it is. I'm laughing at Diddy, not them. So let's push through. You're not tired, are you? Child, I would have, first of all, Puffy is not attractive. I'm just saying, listen, not to me anyway. It took weeks to recover for these freak offs. That's forced labor. KK kept setting up hotel rooms and flights. Let's turn to Mia. She worked for Combs, finally at Revolt. She went 5 days without sleep. Combs sexually assaulted her. He put his hand up her dress. He came into her bedroom and penetrated her. He came into the closet and forced her to perform orally on him. There was a time in the bathroom of the private jet she can't fully remember. Repeated traumatic events. She was clear as a bell, even under cross-examination. She performed labor and services, including actual services. He threw her against a wall and slammed a door on her arm. She saw violence at Prince's party and in Turks. When they were in South Africa, KK told Mia, if you don't call him in 10 minutes, you don't have a job. He has all the power and control. She knew she couldn't say no, even to little things. Mia knew that her job was to protect the defendant. HR was for Combs. She couldn't go to the police due to Combs' power. The threats left her with no options. I expect you're going to hear that she could have left, that she told Combs she loved him. Mia pulled no punches. There were high highs and low lows. Capricorn Clark had an issue with overtime. She took the issue to the head of HR, Vashta Wilson. Now, Vashta Wilson is the lady from HR, supposedly working for Diddy for 20 years. She was supposed to get on the stand. But once she gets on the stand, the government can cross her. And the government, anything is gained once she's on cross. And on cross, they can ask leading questions on cross. So, she is the person that told Capricorn Clark. Once Capricorn Clark told her how many hours did she work, what is owed to her, and she took what she got from HR and he balled it up and threw it in the garbage. Now, Vashta Wilson, the head of HR, you are supposed to be the overseer of what's going on. And if you're not doing something right as it relates to HR standards, then you are supposed to correct Diddy. Like, listen, this is going to get you in trouble. So I know why she didn't come and get on the stand, because she knew that these things was happening. So, but HR was the defendant's puppet. The defendant and Uncle Paulie threatened her in Central Park and the lie detector and taken to Kid Cudi's. Capricorn had a son to provide for with special needs. I love you guys. I'm sorry, I'm in and out of the chat, but when I'm listening from these bushes that suck keep hearing me. She listened from the bushes. She said, I'll be in the bushes fighting. So, Capricorn had a son to provide for. He had special needs as well. I don't know why I didn't make that, say that here, because he does have special needs. So Combs threatened to blacklist her. Now witness tampering and obstruction after Cassie filed her lawsuit. This weaves the whole story together. Jane wrote, "You gaslit me." She posed a problem for the defendant. So Combs called Jane. The calls were recorded on KK's phone. You can listen to them. On November 19, 2023, Cassie's lawsuit was already settled. Oh, so that was in 2023? I thought that was in 2024. Is this correct? Wait, when did he get locked up? Did he get locked up in 2024 and her lawsuit was settled? I think this should be 2024. Maybe I'm wrong. Because this just all happened so fast. It was Cassie, lawsuit, Cassie. Couple of days late, CNN dropped the tape. I thought that was in 2024. I'm going to have to look now. So Cassie's lawsuit was already settled, but he is afraid of a criminal investigation. He calls and asks, "What can I do to make you feel better?" He says, "I can't be speaking on the phone." He is worried the U.S. will get 3 years of his text messages with Jane. While he's recording the call, he tries to convince her she was willing. He says, "We just did some kinky-ish I thought we both enjoy." Now, he recorded this on himself. Yeah, that's why he got to be the dumbest criminal in history. So do you hear on the recorded call the sound of notes being taken with a Sharpie to plan how to get what they want Jane to say? Oh, wow. Wait a minute. That's what I thought last year, 2024. I think that was just a mishap or whatever. So you've seen that in this trial. The lawyers passing notes to each other. Do you hear on the recorded call the sound of notes being taken with a Sharpie? Oh my goodness. To plan how to get what they want Jane to say. Wait a minute. Are they accusing his attorneys? Child, can they do that? So wait, you've seen that in this trial, the lawyers passing notes to each other. Oh, and they can. That's what So then Combs had D-Rock reach out to Mia, asking her to say something. Mia told you her reaction to this call. She had seen the defendant bash in Cassie's head. D-Rock had seen it too. He was asking her to agree with a lie. As the federal investigation grew, they kept reaching out to Mia. D-Rock calls her 5 times in a row. The chart Ms. Sankar presented to you brings this together. Okay, so we already looked at this. For those of you, that is crazy. Look how he got his daughter's faces. They are, I'm telling you, this lady is spot on. Oh my goodness. So the defendant's conduct toward Mia is also obstruction and witness tampering, also obstruction. The video of the intercontinental assault, it's bribery, but also obstruction. Yeah, because if they didn't have the tape, they will be put on Pablito's Wait for the Dumbest Criminals. Yes, Jay testified that it was still going on right before he went. Listen. Yes, but listen, the day that he got arrested in New York, Jane was supposed to fly out there for the break off. You can't make this up. Okay, so finally, venue. We only have a show and act in this district. Doesn't have to be criminal. SDNY includes Manhattan and the Bronx. Count 2, freak-offs in Manhattan. Count 3, freak-offs. Jules to the London Hotel in Manhattan. Count 4, Jane in Manhattan. You spent 7 weeks listening to a lot of evidence. It was hard to hear or see. You heard from Kid Cudi, whose house was broken into and whose car was burned. You heard from Regina Ventura, Deontay Nash, how he ran the enterprise with total control. It's time to hold him accountable. It's time to find him guilty. We'll continue tomorrow, jurors. Do not watch or read anything about this case. All rise. Court is adjourned. Yeah. What y'all think? What y'all think? I think you need to tell them kids to stay home tomorrow. That's what I think. For one. But what do y'all think? I think that they broke it down in a very, in layman's terms, for the jurors to understand. And they can't forget. Oh, so we only need 2 of these and he guilty? Listen. And they don't have to be 2 things from the same category. They just have to be 2 predicate acts. I think that they did a great job. So we know that the defendants, we know that the defense is going to be doing their opening statement tomorrow. I believe that they proved their case. Even with the things that are like circumstantial, it's evidence there that, okay, yeah. So now the judge didn't allow them to object during their opening statement. Y'all know that the defense is about to go all the way left, especially if there's no objections. They're about to go all the way left. I still don't think that he's guilty of RICO. When you put all those things together in totality, that is a RICO. See, this is the way that, so this is how they're getting him on the distribution. Even if he just was buying D-Rugs for personal use, I think then that would just be like a state charge. So how they're using distributing here, and they do have cases cited, because he was having them transport the D-Rugs, he was not only taking it for his personal use, but he was when you distribute is nothing but you're distributing, giving it to other people. He just wasn't he wasn't getting any money. But the D-Rugs is what they needed, to get through these FOs. They needed these drugs in order to perform for 3 and 4 days at a time. Like, he had FOs with so many sessions. You wouldn't think that he have a FO for one session, and it's just him, one of the girls, and a paid male worker, and they do one session, and some of the rooms were tore up so bad, there was so much damage because baby oil and stuff was everywhere. But that's how they're getting him on the distribution charge. And not only that, they were this is a thing for me. Yeah, recreational use, but this is a thing for me. And this is where they're getting him at for distribution. He used his company, the company's funds to purchase these drugs. And you notice, I said, oh, the United States is just not. You notice they didn't say anything. They said they smoked marijuana, but they did not add it when they talked about the distribution. They didn't add that. They only added the hardcore drugs that are illegal. And he cannot, it's no longer for personal use. Recreational use, AOBD, I don't think that's a if you get caught with any type of drugs other than marijuana, you're going to get locked up. Only because now it is legal, right? If you have it for personal use, they're not supposed to like hassle you about that. But all those other drugs, and then not only that, the company that he hired to oversee his financial business, they in text messages on threads talking about, I need 5,000 to get this. Give Fahim 10,000. I need 15 more blue pills. The person, Robin, she works at TriStar, which is a financial planning company, I guess you could say, for entertainers and athletes. She's on there talking about approved. He gave Jade a rug that yes, and freaking KK put her in the shower. Well, the RICO is because you got to look. People think that they dropped charges yesterday. They did not. They're charging him with the arson and everything. And did you? So were you anywhere? Did you see when they the day that they were reading the text messages and listening to the voice notes that he got off his phone, him and KK's phone? And for them to say, let me tell you how I know that Diddy's attorneys know that this is RICO. You want to know how you know they know this is RICO? Because they trying to say that KK and them didn't know nothing about any of this other stuff. So if KK and them didn't know anything about this other stuff, then it can't be a RICO, because then where's the organization? Half of the organization got immunity deals. These other people over here, they weren't offered immunity deals. So it is how their enterprise works. You know, some things stopped at KK. She was right under Diddy. She handled a lot of things for Diddy. I mean, All they need is 2 predicate acts to prove the RICO. So we'll see. It's still up to the jury. It is up to the 12 jurors to find him guilty or not guilty, or a hung jury. We can all speculate as much as we want to. However, they have the last say. Yeah, I just can't believe like they put this stuff in writing. Even after the lawsuit, this man should have known that he was under investigation. He continued. So he stopped having, the FOs in the hotel and started having them at Jane's house. But they still asking, still set up the Wild King night. Tell Fahim to get, and the D-Rug dealer saying, yo, Puffy owe me $450. The escort service like, look, Puffy owe us $600. And he on the phone arguing with them. So I mean, we'll see what they say. Let's see what they say tomorrow. Yeah, I think that's Guido was outside with the D-Rug package. Yes. I just don't understand. You getting high, you just forgot you just was careless. All of this evidence they got from Diddy, from Diddy's phone, from KK's phone. They were going to do a bigger investigation on him. However, but then they said yesterday in the conference, they did not have to let them know how long that they had him under investigation. The feds didn't have to let them know. What did they call it? Something about when they was talking about the 2-wit. If they would have left it like that, the jurors would have been thoroughly confused. But we'll see. They have their closing statement tomorrow. The prosecution has their closing statement tomorrow, and then they'll get the jury instructions, and then they'll go into deliberation. So, like I said, it's up to those 12 people whether or not, they're going to find them guilty, not guilty, or a hung jury or whatever. I think that the elements are there. I think that they are. Even if they don't get him on I don't know. I know that I'm not about to go through 118 pages, but I know they dropped the 118-page document, and something locks him automatically into a 15-year minimum sentence. One of these charges lock him into that. I'm not about to go through 118 pages. No, I'm not. Can Puffy still take a deal? Because they offered him 15 years. He said, nah, I'm going to ride this till the wheels fall off. Because y'all ain't going to get me. Because I'm paying millions for my freedom. You ain't really giving too much to work with, though. You did. People have to, I don't know. It's the power trip. So, who knows? So, we'll see tomorrow. I don't know what time. Did he say what time court is starting tomorrow? Let me see. I don't think he said. Oh wow, that is sad. So yeah, they don't even say. So yeah, we'll see tomorrow. He could still take the deal. That's what I guess Gene Deal was alleging, saying that he believes that Puffy is going to take the deal. So, but we'll definitely see tomorrow what happens with the defense. You know, what type of closing argument that they put on, and then we'll take it from there. And then it will be left up to the 12 jurors to. We'll be on deliberation. What is that? Verdict watch. Sorry. They'll be in deliberations. We'll be on verdict watch, waiting to hear whether or not, or, you know, when they come up with a verdict and see whether or not they're going to find him guilty, not guilty, or whether we get a hung jury. It's as simple as that. So if he can still take the deal, I mean, I don't know if he will take the deal, because I know during the conference yesterday, see, this is why I don't think the defense feels good about this either, because yesterday, remember, she was going back and forth with the judge. The judge had it like, no, we're not doing that. You can argue whatever in closing arguments. And so then she says something like off the cuff, and then he's like, well, something like, what do you want or whatever? And she said, oh, well, I'm just trying to preserve my record for appeal purposes. So what she said, she wanted it to be on the record and for appeal purposes. So, but they never know in which way that these like I said, the jurors are going to, they don't know whether the juror, what the jurors are going to do. I just know that when they read those text messages into the statement, you know, according to, you know, some people in the court, the jurors was like, what? Like nobody didn't understand. Like, yeah, they said all their faces was like, what? They rest when they said they rested. So that's all I can say about that. You got, you know, everybody like is having their own opinion. I think they prove what they need to prove, but other people don't. And as long as we agree to disagree respectfully, that's fine with me. So there you have it. And so I'm getting ready to get out of here. I'm going to end the show the way I normally end it. Mizzy Boo, welcome to the Survivor Nation family, and thank you for all of your support. And so I'm going to end the show by bringing awareness that men get breast cancer too, because of the stigma surrounding the word breast. We have changed the words to chest and or pec cancer over here on the Survivor Speaks channel. So let's continue. Spread awareness, you know, that men can get breast cancer too. And to all of my ladies, please make sure you're getting your mammograms, filling on your boobies to make sure that you are all right. It's all right. And don't you dare let anyone come into your house and disturb the peace that passes all understanding. I'm Survivor Speaks. I don't know what I just said. I'm Survivor Speaks, y'all. Thank you for walking out with me. And thank you all for hanging out with me and my shenanigans. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Survivor Speaks is the name at the end of the day. People love me or hate me, I don't care either way. Breast cancer busted through like a leaf in the night. A cancer's ass was knocked out before they the end of the fight. A cheer for y'all, coming through, knocking everything out. This is how if you see, I do nothing for clout. Just like cancer, I'll let nothing take me out. So be respectful when you step foot inside of my house. Hold it clear to have your ass escorted on out. So hop up out the bushes, wipe your feet, take a seat, and get comfortable and chill with your girl. Survivor Speaks, yeah. Hey, hey, hey. Who, what? I'm Survivor Speak. What time is it? What time is it? What time is it? It's time for you to hit that like and subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you get a notification each and every time that I go live. Yeah.